Firstly, I'd just like to thank Rod Malavi and Tim for the video presentation. It's quite a humbling experience. It's been a long time since I had to speak in front of a group this big, so hopefully I'll do okay. There's a lot of people that I need to thank. Firstly, I'd like to thank the North Albury Football Club, Netball Club, for bestowing this amazing honour on me. I can't thank you enough. I'd also like to congratulate the other inductees for this evening. Every one of you should be proud of your achievements and what you've done throughout your career, whether you're still involved with the club or whether you're still not. My coaches, Marty Cross. Probably got Marty at the end of his career. He was a lovely man, a great coach, but probably talk more religion than football. In '97 when I had Marty, but thank you anyway Marty. To Ernest Whitehead, Ernie gave me the opportunity to play in a premiership. He gave me the opportunity to captain a side. He gave me the opportunity to play on a half-back flank, which I wasn't familiar with, but it was a position that I really enjoyed, so thank you so much. To my premiership teammates, Robbie, Eka, Corey, Hoggy, Bomber, what a day. It's just amazing to think that next year is 25 years. 25 years ago, it's a long time. It seems just like yesterday, eh? But I still remember the day. I probably remember the night more than I actually remember the game. But I'll get back to that a bit later. To the previous teammates that I played with when I first come to North back in '95, my captain at the time was a gentleman by the name of Steve Patton. Steve was probably coming to the end of his career, but he taught me a lot about football. He taught me a lot about myself. So thank you, Steve. To another guy that North recruited when I came along was a bloke by the name of Shane Lennon, Sparksy. He didn't stay around for very long, but for a few of the people in the room, you probably remember him. He was a character. He could play footy and he could play lawn bowls. Mark Wegner. Weggy was my ruckman when I first came to North Albury, and he was a bit like Crackers Keenan in the ruck. He was a bit crazy and ended up becoming really good mates with Mark, and I just want to say thanks for everything that you taught me over the journey. Another bloke that I played football with a long time ago, a bloke by the name of Dean Lupson. There's not too many probably people in the room that know Luppo, but Luppo probably spent too much time off the field than he did on the field for getting suspended, but one of those guys that just had really bad white line fever, but he was a fantastic player to play with. Another guy that I forgot to mention that was in my premiership side who's here tonight is Jason Kerr. Thanks very much for everything that you taught me, mate. Thank you. There's two other guys that I played with. One was a bloke by the name of Matty Chilcott. He played at full forward. And back in the day, back in the early 90s, mid-90s, late 90s, forwards didn't do a lot of defensive work. So if Chiller got it here, he was good. But if he didn't get it there, he wasn't real flash. But he was a fantastic footballer, probably one of the best one-on-one players I've seen play in my day. Bloke by the name of Mark Evans. Me and Mark were really good mates. Mark was a lot younger than me, but we had a few things in common. I won the senior 97 best and fairest, and Mark won the reserve grade best and fairest. I've had the pleasure in playing against some really good opponents in my time. Come up against a bloke by the name of Robbie Walker. I think it was back in 98 at Wang, and Ernie said to me, "I want you to play on him today." And I'm okay, no worries. So I lined up on Robbie. I think Robbie had 37 possessions, and I think I might have had 35, but we won. So I think I won the day. Darren Denneman was another guy that Ernie gave me a job to do on Darren, and I really enjoyed I really thrived on the challenge, I guess. You know, like Glenn Page from Albury, Jamie McCree from the Wodonga Raiders, just some fantastic footballers, and got an opportunity to play Ovens and Murray football with them. And I think it was 97, might have been 96, but there was the infamous bus trip back from Geelong. we went down to Geelong when we played Geelong in the Australian Country Championships. We knocked them over, which was great. And on the way back, the bus trip home from Geelong back to Albury, I think it might have been John Kingston, Juice from Cora, might have thrown an empty can at the bus driver's head. And I think by that stage the bus driver had had enough, so he decided to kick the whole Ovens Murray team off in Ballina. I rang up my partner at the time, Stacey, and she came down to get me, and she got me, and I think she got Tracker, and she got Kirky, and she got Benny, and she got half the Lavington team. I think there was about 9 in the car. But it was a great experience. There's a lot of people that, when you're involved in football clubs, there's not only the people that you meet on the ground and your teammates that you share success with, but there's people off the ground that make football clubs. When I come to North Albury, president at the time was a gentleman by the name of Peter Johnson. He was a lovely man. Him and his wife Nyla made me so welcome, made me feel part of the community, part of the football club. So I'd really like to thank Peter. Another man who was instrumental, I think, in picking me in the 1997 50-year All-Star team. And I said to this particular gentleman at the time, I said, you know, Max, I've only been here for a couple of years. How could you possibly pick me on a half-back flank? And he said, you deserve it, Simon. To Max Gifford and his wife, Judy, thank you so much. To Dennis Sullivan and his wife, Leonie. Dennis was a massive fan of mine when I first came to the club. I want to thank you for everything that you've done for me. Kevin Joyce, Lee Booth, Ken Ford. Ken Ford was one of my first trainers. He had some strange ways, 40, but he was able to get you back up and get you going the next week, so thank you so much. There's a guy that I only found out tonight who isn't doing really well, and when I first come to Albury, he gave me a job. That's Wayne Price and his lovely wife, Deb. They supported me so much throughout from my football career and supported my children. To a guy I know and his wife who I work with at the North Albury Sports Club, Max and Donna Duncan. They were going through a pretty horrific time in their life, and I wasn't doing really well, and they gave me a place to stay. So thank you to Max and Donna. To a guy who I worked with at the North Albury Sports Club and was our runner in '99, a gentleman by the name of Chris McLean. He was a unique individual, Chris. I had an opportunity to work with him, and he used to get right in my face, and he'd talk about footy, and he'd push me around. And at the time, I probably didn't like it, but you know, when you look back now and he's no longer with us, it was probably some of the best times of my life. I remember, you know, I not only had the privilege of playing at this wonderful club, but I had the privilege of working at the sports club. And one of probably the most favourite days that I had was a Monday afternoon. I was a club captain. I was working in the bar. So a lot of guys would come in after work and they'd want to dissect the game. And I remember Lloyd and Stewie Ronan, Bobby and Brian Parks, Kenny Muse, you know, the list goes on. If I've missed anyone, I'm terribly sorry, but it was great banter listening to them talk about how we could get better when we lost and what we needed to improve when we won. So, but just going back to, I guess probably my highlight at the footy club, apart from tonight, was our premiership success in '99. It was something that I'll never forget. You know, there's probably 2 guys that I really need to thank. In the summer of 1994, I was in Melbourne, spending time with my family for Christmas, and I was travelling back through Albury, driving back to Queensland, and I'd spoken to the Albury Football Club. I'd spoken to a gentleman by the name of Darren Holmes, and I'd met up with him, and I'd met up with the North Albury Footy Club, and I actually went back to Queensland, and it was a gentleman's agreement that I was going to play football at Albury, the Albury Tigers. I had a gentleman by the name of Ian Doggy Rowlands ring me, and another gentleman by the name of Bernie Bell ring me. And they persuaded me and convinced me that North Albury was the place to come. For the next 3 years, I copped it from the Albury Tigers because they won 3 premierships in a row. But I guess in '99, I got my revenge, Corey. I got my revenge. And I remember when I first met Bernie, he was really, really big on visualising, massive on visualising. I thought, what is this guy talking about? You know, I'd done a bit of research and spoke to a few people. Bernie was a fantastic golfer. He was a fantastic businessman, but he was really big on visualising. He said, you know, don't visualise on things that you don't want to or you can't get to. Just concentrate on things that are within your grasp. And I think that was around about 95, late 95, and I remember probably 2 or 3 times a week I'd stand in front of a mirror pretending that I had a premiership cup above my head. And Roger, 5 years later, I had that premiership cup above my head, mate. I've got the picture at home. There's probably one other person that I need to thank. Firstly, I just want to wish Tim and George and the current North Albury playing group all the best of luck for the upcoming season, for the rest of the year and for the future. When I first come to North Albury back in '95, I think 2 or 3 years prior to me arriving, the club went through 2 years of not winning a game. From that period, 6, 7 years later, we won a premiership. So you can turn things around. I'm a big believer, a bit like life, that what you put into football is what you get back out of it. And if you're not prepared to put in a lot, you won't get much in return. So one thing that I want to say to the current group is preparation. Preparation's the key. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So make sure you get your preparation right. As me and Corey, when we trained together, we used to have competition, didn't we, Ledge? See who could go through training without making a mistake. We were never perfect, were we? We never were, but while we were trying to chase perfection, we gained excellence, and that's, I reckon, one of the reasons why we won the premiership. To the guys at the current list, just all the very best for the future. But lastly, I remember way back in 1985, I was a 15-year-old boy that had just come out of under 15 schoolboys, and I got picked to play senior footy at a club by the name of Kedron on the north side of Brisbane. And I was living in a place called Marsden, which is on the south side of Brisbane, and I was only 15, and I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to get to training? Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And a lady who's been my financial advisor, she's been my relationship counsellor, she's been my psychologist, but more importantly, she's been my mum. For 3 nights a week, she'd sit in the car between 6 and 8 and watch me train, and then she'd drive me home, which she did that for 3 years. The words of the great Kenny Bruce, go Hoppers, go, go, go. Thank you.